Okay, so we've got you set on F4. Looks like you're maybe going to be a touch late here.
Five,
Yeah.
four,
I mean,
three,
I
two,
can say, hey, that
one.
does cost you a little bit,
Attackers
but you know
incoming.
that, so not really helping.
Yeah.
Stop the payload.
I don't go to many parties.
Okay, so let's just look at your comps a little bit because you're at a level where that starts to matter. So how is your team looking to take engagements versus them?
I would say, well, the Rhine and Zarya kind of makes it a little brawly,
Mm-hmm.
and then with the Brigida as well.
Yep.
And then Doom's probably going to try to drop in from the top and get a pick on their backline or something.
Yeah,
That's what I
so
would think.
you're basically the only poke, or you and Mercy are basically the only poke that this team has, whereas their
Mm-hmm.
team is a little more set up to be a little more flexible at range. They've got the Hanzo, the Zen, they've got an off tank that can do a little bit more in the poke world, and they've got a Genji that can come harass you. So
Mm-hmm.
this becomes a thing where you're going to have to be thinking a lot more, what can I do from flanks? And I want to do my peaks when my team can sort of engage, right? Like you don't want to be doing a ton of okay, we're going to poke them down, etc. early type stuff just because it's kind of dangerous to you. Like they're more likely
Mm-hmm.
to win poke trades than vice versa, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know, this is fine. You're on high ground. You have certain advantages from that, and you can of course check him. Just do that. Just do that every push and review over. But this is more what I'm talking about, where you're going to go for your full opens once your team is out there, which you've got. I don't like that shotgun. Did you want to move with that? Were you worried someone had a beat on you?
No, I actually fell off of high ground as I was tunneling on the Ana, so I tried to shotgun back up,
Okay.
but I kind of messed
So
up.
that was a shotgun backup diagram that you messed up. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to be back up on high ground now. You do have shotgun up. Are you holding shotgun rather than taking high ground just because you're worried that you high ground up and then Genji will be on top of you, or are you thinking
Yeah.
maybe you're going to go left? Okay, you're worried about that.
Yeah, and I just wasn't sure if like Mercy would pay enough attention to follow me up there, so I was just like, I'm just gonna stay back.
I think you're honestly pretty safe doing it up to here because, like, whether she follows you or not, she's not going to not realize you're there, if you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, right? So
Okay.
that gives you the option and it starts your cooldown on the shotgun, which is nice because you're going to want it back. Like, this positioning kind of sucks. Like, it's not like
Hmm.
absolutely terrible, but you're going to have to close this angle. You're threatening from the same direction of your entire team.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks. It sucks that we fell down. We had the shotgun use that didn't work, but you're not really in great danger by shotgunning up to here. The only one who can come up after you is the Genji, and if he comes up after you, well, okay, fine, I'll drop. Fine, you earned it, Genji. Like that's kind of how I'd be thinking about that.
Okay.
Heroes never die. I'll take fire at will. Let's get this back in the
Okay, so most of this fight has been downstream of, hey, your positioning was on low ground, so you've been working from that, and that's fine. Quick
Hmm.
question, did you make any sort of call or any sort of press X when Genji was back here to try and bleed your Mercy for a sec so you could challenge, or did you just go, no, I'm going to outmuscle him?
I definitely know I didn't make a call.
Okay, that's fine.
I think I just figured he was gonna go probably grab some health, and I was like, I just want to get back to the fight, so that's what I was
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
fine.
thinking.
No, I actually liked what you did where you rotated here, health pack, all that. Like, that was good. I was just, before you did that, I was sort of in
Mhm.
are you going to let him have an even 1v1 that he doesn't deserve? Because he doesn't deserve an even 1v1 here. His team wasn't really in it at the time, if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
you summoning your Mercy, like, here, I'll rewind and show the points. And we all do this. We all sort of have our... let's rewind it a little bit further. Yeah, so I look at this, and you're potentially fine, but is your Reinhardt really threatened now? Like it's a little silly that he's swinging past with the Discord here, but I assume he's going to
Mhm.
close that angle in a moment. So he's not really in any serious danger. I'd actually prefer that your Zarya didn't turn around, but that your Mercy instead helped you. We can't control
Mhm.
them. That's ladder.
Yeah.
But my point becomes, okay, he wasted dash, he's wasted deflect. You're pretty safe at this point, and I get that. But this becomes one of those, even just a single tap on X, because hey, you're missing a third of your health here. It's the sort of thing where if you're winning this fight and if your front line isn't in danger, which I guessed they weren't, and it turns out they weren't, you might as well just kind of go, hey, why should I let this turn into it wasn't a 50-50 duel, this is like a 65-35 duel, but sort of a
Mhm.
why let him have a chance to get back into it sort of thing. Does that kind of
Gotcha.
make sense? Okay,
Yes.
cool. And if you don't get the heal, you don't care. You weren't really counting on it, but it just becomes a, yeah.
Heroes never die.
I'll take fire at will.
Let's get you back in the fight.
Somebody get me some healing. I've got thanks.
So this is okay because you know the Hanzo's dead. So you're looking for staggers here, which is fine.
Yes.
Good.
Damage boost. Engage.
I get the idea.
I'm here.
How y'all doing?
And now you should probably be looking for a dynamite. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
I was kind of afraid to peek the Hanzo. I think that's what my thing was.
Yeah, and I get the desire to be like, hey, I'm afraid to peek the Hanzo. Apparently you have a Briggs up here, so she could have made a nice body shield for you. But the bigger thing sort of becomes the Hanzo can't stay out of the fight forever type thing. Like if the Hanzo, he has to sort of go, his team needs him to shoot up here, just like your team needs you to shoot down here. And you know that, well, you don't know this yet, but you know that he's not up here because you have a pretty good angle on that. So he's effectively got to do it from down here, or it turns out down here, which means you were relatively safe to open on this, to open this peak, even on the context clues that we had there, where we can go, hey, I can't see, you were up here and, well, you were up here and you go, I can't see the Hanzo. You can peek there and see red. That's fine. You have a Briggs up here who would be getting shot at and you'd hear the arrows for if that was going on. So it's a relatively safe peek, but more importantly than that, this is sort of real. This fight maybe isn't like 100% real, but this fight is like 70-80% real at this point, where these guys have rounded the corner and are fighting. And if he equally doesn't know where you are, he can't afford for you to be back here shooting at their two tanks plus Zen. He can't afford for you guys to be taking these 6v3, so he's going to have to find a way to contribute to this fight. So you can wait a second or two for him to go, oh, hey, he might be holding this, but after a second or two, he has to draw his camera away, because for all he knows, you're down here shooting, etc. And that would be better. It would be better to maintain this position than to drop here. And this would have been a peak. Do you see anything? You see the Genji, drive him back, use your Briggs as a shield if you have to. You don't see anyone else? Great. Drop TNT here for a ton of volt charge. And then, finish with Bob.
Gotcha. So I called that. I actually called that nano blade as soon as it, like right before he dashed up in the air. So that's why I was kind of like hanging out in the back, because I was going to throw Bob, and I'm not sure. This is part of the reason why I wanted to review this, was because I wasn't sure if that Bob was a good one in that context.
Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna say. So your team has gone pretty far forward on this. He's gone up with the nano blade. With how deep your team is right now, I don't think this Bob is great, because this Bob is like maybe it will drive back the nano blade Genji. No, it won't. Like let's watch this and see. But my guess is what's gonna happen is, yeah, he's still going to go after you, and you being back made that annoying for him, separated it from the team, etc. But if we look at where your Bob is going to finish,
Yeah.
Okay. Even if he hadn't finished there, even if he'd landed here, that puts your Bob here where it can shoot at the Genji or can shoot at the other team, but it's
Yeah.
threatening the same exact angle that the rest of your team is already at, right? So, like, if you
Yeah.
could have used this Bob 4 seconds ago, and I get you didn't have it 4 seconds ago when this fight was still going on, and you put it back here when their tanks are sort of here, and your tanks are here, that's a good Bob because it becomes we're being shot in the back and the front. And, if we go here, it's pretty easy for my team to rotate up and get punishes, to rotate up and, fight them while they're separated, etc. if they try to rotate. But you didn't mean to send it here, so I'm not going to criticize that. But at this point, Bob by himself is unlikely to drive back the Genji if you meant this to be a shallower Bob. And if you meant it to be here, I don't know that you knew your team was going to push this far forward, but you knew that your team was roughly here, and your team is on the exact same sight line as the Bob for what the Bob is going to shoot at, which is the targets that are closest to him.
Okay.
Okay. That's fine. If they're going to get 1 kill off a Nano Blade, well, okay, they're going to get more than 1 kill off a Nano Blade. But hey.
This is not your time.
You just cart there, yeah?
Yeah, I was just like...
There was no way back into that. Yeah, exactly.
They are getting on my nerves.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
I mean, you know where I'm going with this, right? Like, it's...
I'm assuming that I should have taken high ground here.
Yeah, this becomes it's not a big deal, but like this becomes you want them to be in the situation where, I mean, here we can rewind it and watch, but if we go here.
They are getting on my nerves.
So you can do the, hey, I'm going to play from behind my Reinhardt, and that's fine if you have a Reinhardt shield to take advantage of, but the way I sort of look at this becomes I don't expect this Reinhardt to work, and if you're really going to get back into the, I think you guys are staggering personally. I don't think there's a fight to be had here, but if you are finding your way back in, if you can get the Hanzo kill from down here, that's great. But I think you're a lot more likely to do work in general from up here, and I think it's a bit of a reach that you're going to get this point in general. If you're going to get this point in general, it's going to be off of you killing both the Hanzo and the Zarya from here, effectively. Not a big deal. I don't mind that you're playing behind your Rein Shield in this situation because you're going to be pretty unilateral in general. But I still think you'd have preferred to be up here because if you shotgun up here, you'll probably want to be here up here if your Reinhardt dies, right? Because if your Reinhardt dies, this makes you safer from getting staggered. And also, yeah, if your Reinhardt dies, this makes you safer from getting staggered. You have the better angle, and there's no danger of you getting punished for not having your coach gun up, right? Like Genji's all the way back here.
Yeah. Okay.
You're staying in this pretty hard. Okay. I mean, he had the Harmony Orb. You got the lead on him. I probably would have recommended closing that angle. Like, I think you were baiting pretty hard on he can't hit this shot for a bit there. Or do you disagree? Okay.
Yeah, I kind of was like, I'm gonna throw the dynamite here and just kind of try to put out damage.
Okay. I think the dynamite was good. I just think if we go back to his perspective here, I think he was looking at you for most of that, and you were just no fear going. So he's got the Harmony Orb. I'm great with the dynamite. He's still got the Harmony Orb, and he's looking right at you. That's his first shot, which he misses, which is fine. You're going, can I get the finish? You also either miss a shot or delay too long on a shot. And what you're seeing here is he's got the Harmony Orb, which is ticking back against that. Okay. So it wasn't exceedingly long there, but I think he was looking at you for 2 shots worth of time, and you were just kind of like, you're going to miss these shots. And I'm like, is he now? Like, yes, he is. But it's the sort of thing where you go, he does have that Harmony Orb. So, like, I get that you want to finish your fire, and that's fine if you hit that immediate follow-up shot, but you didn't. So this probably becomes his Harmony Orb is going to do more work than my fire if I don't connect that first shot. So let me go ahead and close the angle and make him look back on the fight. Or let me decide, you know what, I'm going to rotate up to here and rain down on them from here. Like, I think, you were in a situation where you just kind of go, no, it's okay, I have the high ground, we're going to tunnel each other and we're going to shoot at each other. And it's just sort of like, once his Harmony Orb comes back, you don't really have the advantage that other than your high ground. So, yeah, not huge, but a little more sightline changing there. Gotcha. This is good. You need to. Okay, yeah. I mean, you can take shots at him, man. You don't have to just stand there.
I think in that moment, I remember what happened. So we had just given up that point, and I was like, great, we didn't even take a fight in that second point. I actually said that in voice chat. I was starting to get a little... So
you were playing the let me tilt my team game. I want to lose some SR. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And the game before this was somebody that was really flaming hard, so I was already kind of like a little bit on edge. So
got it. Yeah. It happens. I'm just playing.
And then we kept staggering, and I was just, at this point, I was like, all right, well.
So if your team's going to stagger this hard, this sort of becomes even if you do need to make a hero play, your hero play was sort of can I rotate up through here type thing while they're busy killing my team over there? Like, if you really do think your team is feeding, your hero play is, well, I'm going to get back here, and I'm going to kill 3 of them from behind, and then my team can't help but win. Like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Not always what I'd recommend, but that is what you do if you go, hey, my team is feeding, and I really do need to hard carry my way out of that. Usually you don't.
And that's like, I think that's kind of like the game sense stuff that that I want to work on is in what moments should I be a little bit more aggressive?
Sure.
And what do I do when we're getting kind of snowballed? Because I think in those moments is when I tend to get a little bit more tilted. And then
so when you can be more aggressive is when you know someone else has created an opening for you, even through being a corpse. So that tends to be like, if your Hanzo goes, this McCree over here is shooting at me. Like, if your McCree peeks, you get to go, okay, the Hanzo is going to turn to look at my McCree, so whether my McCree has any success or not, I can now peek over here and shoot at their team, and there will be less eyeballs looking at me, right? Like, at some level that's basic, but at some level that's really advanced Overwatch. Like, that actually moves the scale pretty hard. But the other thing becomes what we are sort of talking about, which is if your team is just getting snowballed and you need some way to break the snowball, sometimes it does become, yes, I'm going to make a more risky play. Like, if your team is mentally defeated and they're just snowballing, you can go for the more risky play because that's the only thing that's going to give your team the shot in the arm to get going again. So if we rewind a little bit here, and I was feeling a little bit of that here, where this is I see this, and you could totally go, yeah, I'm going to try and get the Zarya elimination here, but that Zarya elimination was always going to be a little hard to get, so this very much could have been one of those, I bet I can sneak up here, let them come in a little more, and then try to get the Ana and the Zen, and maybe, half the Hanzo, and then my team can't help but win. This could have been one of those.
Okay.
Or you could play the more conservative, which is, can I force a Bob charge, and then maybe we can win off of Bob.
Get off the stage.
So, like, again, a good moment is you got caught in this grab, and I get you were typing, etc. But as your team comes out of spawn, these guys are looking hard at the doors. You know that. You've finished points before. These guys are looking hard at the doors. And so you know that as soon as they see your team start to come out of this door, like 4 or 5 sets of eyeballs all locked this way. So this is your time when you go, I've been waiting back here the whole time. Now I peek and I throw in my dynamite and I finish with a headshot on the Hanzo, and maybe now we're back in the game. Plus you don't get caught in this grab.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about this because you were clearly typing, distracted, little tilted, etc. But it comes back.
Yeah, and then I died with Bob, and I was kind of disappointed in myself for that. But
yeah,
I
and you
think
did. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think that's why I kind of got a little aggressive with the Zarya, because I was trying to build that ult charge so I could just throw the Bob on point. But
that was fine. I actually don't think you were terribly aggressive on that Zarya. You were attacking that Zarya while that Zarya was looking at your McCree, which is perfect. I actually think that was the more conservative play. I just think if your play was to build Bob, you then stopped and typed here. And again, I'm not trying to harp on the fact that you're stopping and typing. It's just if that was the plan, you sort of abandoned the plan because you needed to take advantage of the next peak window. Like if farming the ult was the plan, you needed to be taking advantage of, oh, someone came out of here. That's a peak window for me. There's 2 shots, etc. Now I unpeak. Oh, someone else is feeding. Okay, now I'm going to Bob to stall the point, and maybe that buys us another respawn cycle, etc. That was, more aggressively, not more aggressively, but if that was the plan, it needed to be more actively driven towards.
Gotcha.
Ready for battle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Okay, so they are in a more pokey comp than you. Well, no, not so much actually. They went with the Genji now. It's just their tank line that I'm seeing. Okay, this is a little more even in terms of what happens in the poke phases.
Stay in motion. Accepting a number of circumstances, of course.
Okay. So I get a little bit of you were doing the delay thing here. You were just waiting for the cart to move forward. Versus going up here. I'm just thinking this out loud for a second. No, that's fine. It was just a fair amount of time to leave the angle closed for.
Unstable. I am ready. Here it comes.
This will heal you.
Don't mess with the original.
Enemies
I was a little surprised you didn't go for a TNT there. Were you holding that because you were worried Genji was going to come again and you wanted it for that?
I think that's what I was thinking there.
Okay. I generally hold one of your cooldowns for him, not both. And in this case, that means you hold Coach Gun. If you're holding both, it's taking away too much from value you can be getting elsewhere.
The payload has reached the chip.
Thanks.
Anna's on cart. You're going here. Okay.
This is my
No one can hide from my sight.
Are you specifically here because you assumed your Widow would go high ground?
Yeah, and I thought that there might be more of
Staggers
the
to
enemy
get?
team up top. So
Okay.
yeah, and I had Bob, so I was kind of thinking I'll help frontline with the team, see if we can get any staggers And then I
Okay.
think I kind of just got focused on the.
I don't actually mind that you're high ground in this situation because I would have expected your Widow to go high ground, which she did. She just couldn't find anything, so she came down here. I just wanted to understand your thinking because I was surprised that you didn't just go, oh, free stairs, I'll take them as I'm. I mean, you know, it adds like 2 seconds, but there wasn't
Yeah.
anything to be had here. But you thought there were still staggers to be had, no problem. We'll see how this Bob gets used. Or not used in this case.
Heal up. Got the payload and I'm moving out. Somebody get me some healing.
The barrier.
Bob, do something.
Did that get stuck on Orisa?
Yeah, and
Orisa
then it got
slept. Okay, that's fine. You wanted it here, which would have been perfect, correct, etc. Yeah.
Mhm.
You get me riled up.
So here is kind of where things kind of started to turn. I thought that we were going to be able to win that last fight. So I went Tracer, and then we got a pick, and then I was like, oh, we should be fine. So I switched back to Ashe, and then it's just, from here, I'll just let it play.
Sure, no, that's fine. I mean, it's not like the Tracer swap really cost you anything. You just used Bob, so it's not like that was some big loss.
Okay.
Barrier is unstable. Enemies in orbit.
I want to know where your Widow's playing from because you guys are partners now. She's playing right there. I don't love that you two are on the exact same angle here. That's not great. This would be better. Okay. Okay, you're able to take your space effectively. I was worried that they were going to do the legendary, you know, whole... Well, anyway, they didn't do it. Doesn't matter. I was worried that you were telling me I was going to look at 3 minutes of them holding where that Hanzo is effectively.
Barrier is fracturing.
I think it is, actually, if I remember correctly.
Lovely.
And things just kind of like, it just kind of falls apart right here.
Yeah, so this is a little hard to break, but you just have to keep in mind, okay, how does our comp work into theirs? And you don't have a real tank line. Like, let's be honest, Sigma Zarya is not a fantastic tank line. They have a better tank line that's going to be a little easier for them to hold with, and your double poke was their poke dive with their DPS setup. So their comp is set up a little bit better than yours, but honestly, if we flipped sides and you guys were on the other side, I would hate to push into your comp as their comp. So this shouldn't be unwinnable by any means. So what we're going to look at here is we have to go, okay, if we're on Widow Ashe, and we don't have a Mercy, which is annoying, how are we going to get value? And that's going to be by going into places where we have this super wide spread and one or both of us can cover our team marching across, you know, can push them back well enough, can cover the march across. So it's probably going to be you going up to the right here because your Widow was playing low ground last time.
And my tanks were, they were trying to figure out like a composition. I think that's what was going on there.
I mean, this composition is fine too. Oh, are they going to let you across? That was nice of them. You should be fine through that.
This will heal you. I need to recharge.
Okay.
I need healing.
Yeah, I think you're overvaluing TNT on that Hanzo when he's Harmony Orbed. In general, I think you're a little too happy to take that. It's not like a big thing, it's just a minor thing I'm noticing.
Get into position.
Time to change things up.
remaining.
Know what they say? A payload in iron stays into the iris.
I need healing.
Thanks.
Yep. TNT on the Hanzo again.
I don't mind you throwing TNT on Hanzo. It's just I think you're forcing. You're like, I hit the TNT on you, so now I'm gonna get the finish in these next two shots. And if you don't get that finish in that next shot, it's specifically while he has the Harmony Orb. I think you're going, I want to stay and take this fight, and it's sort of like, no, he can still one shot you. He's still Hanzo. Like that's.
Okay.
I need healing.
Thank you.
Fine, we're trying to use it for the old, or for the last fight here. We're gonna watch some of these last 2 minutes again because I want to make sure we're really exploring what your options are, because you did have, to me, it didn't look to me like what I was afraid it was going to be, which is that you guys can't get really, can't break that first corner at all. Oh no, you're done here. Never mind, we got it.
Actually,
Okay.
yep. So
Okay.
I forgot that had happened.
Yeah, no, that's fine then. It didn't look as disastrous as I had feared it was, so I was a little bit like, you guys had 2 real shots to make it, you just didn't win the team fight, so.
Yeah. I think I just erased this last part of the match from my brain.
Okay.
'Cause it just.
Yep, that's fine. Well,
Surrender to my will.
that fight was really over before you got there.
Time to change things up.
And I think that's one thing that I struggle with is blaming teammates. And so I think that's like part of the reason why I wanted to kind of like get coaching done, was to kind of see if it's what more can I do in
Sure.
situations like
There's absolutely situations where, hey, your teammates have kind of, lost this fight before you arrived. On the other hand, you're arriving late because you're dead from the last team fight, and did you have to be type things. Like there's situations like that. And, that if we go back to third, you're blaming your teammates for getting rolled a little, and okay, that's right, but then you got caught in the grab instead of getting an elimination from the other side while they're getting grabbed. Like, there's things you can do that's not going to win you every match, but there's definitely matches that are slipping. There's definitely team fights that are slipping through your fingers, and because there are team fights that are slipping through your fingers, that, over the course of a couple matches means there's a match or two that's slipping through your fingers.
Yeah.
I need healing.
Thanks.
Огонь по готовности.
And at this point, I just
You're done.
yeah.
I want to see it again to see if you had a Q on the Zarya that you missed.
I didn't call it out. It happened so fast that
Thanks.
I just started trying to focus her.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, she was still going to get 3 people in that grab, almost at least 2 in that grab, and that was probably going to be it because you guys don't have a lamp or anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just a case of try to break the bubble and then get her. Okay, so to be honest, there wasn't anything in this team fight or the last team fight that mattered, so this extra point for you guys, there really wasn't much difference you were going to make for these last 2 fights. It really came down to there's more you could have done on first point both directions. On third, you definitely could have slowed them down so that they didn't get as big a time bank as they did. At the very least, you could have gotten a Bob, and the Bob was going to take dealing with, and that was going to buy you more of a time bank on third. Like, that's the minimum contribution that you could have had there. You could have had a limb, which swings everything, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it doesn't ultimately matter because your offense didn't get that far, but you don't know that at the time. And there were things you did have the opportunity to do during your offense there. A little more on first. Second was a little tough in general. We can go look at that 3-minute segment, but we did break through that. Let's actually go look at our 3-minute segment for a second here. Is this it? Yeah, this is right in the middle of it. Let's get a little bit more here.
This will heal you.
So you've done everything you need to be in this fight. Your Moira's fading out. You're staying at it, and that's really too many shots into the deflect there.
I need healing. Somebody.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't like critical, but you didn't have to, this didn't have to be as one-sided as it was in terms of your 2v2
This will
here.
heal you. I need to recharge.
I think I tunneled too hard on this Hanzo. I just assumed that the Moira would distract him, and then I could put a couple shots in.
Yep. You thought, hey, I'm going to take this 2v1, it's great, but it's not actually a 2v1, it's a 2.5v2. Because, you know, he's got the Harmony Orb and there's the Genji right there that you're not aware of yet. That's fine, you're not being aware of the Genji yet. But then, that's a, like, if we, that, what was that, 3 shots that he's deflected already? And then this, I get it, you're going, oh, I got to get out of here immediately. An angle would have actually been better because, it, you know, I mean, ideally, you'd have angled yourself into this pull and then fallen down here and immediately been able to close and gotten this healing orb. Out here, you're sort of in a, I know I'm being real nitpicky now. Out here, it was always sort of going to be a, okay, well, their Hanzo's definitely going to get time to try and line up 1 to 2 shots on me as I try to get cover or go for the health back here, right? Like, the closer you can be to dropping, you were in deep enough here that, yes, Coach Gunning was correct, but you wanted to go over this edge by as little as possible. So you wanted to go back in, you know, some direction diagonally so that when you fall, you're closer to cover, you're closer to your Moira that ran, you're closer to your teammates that can help you, all those good things. Were you actually gonna get out alive with 31 HP? Probably not, but these are the little things that add up.
Yeah, I feel like that particular sequence just, I don't know if it would have made a huge difference, but I mean, I think the Genji and the Hanzo got a pick right after that, so it could have made us take
Yeah, I mean, even if it takes them longer to kill you, that means your Widow's in the fight for longer, who is now a Genji, but hey. I don't really like this either, because I sort of view this as a, okay, what are you doing here? Like, you're in this situation where you're going, I'm going to pick the Zarya if she keeps opening this angle, etc. Well, okay, but she's about to eliminate your Winston, and then either she's going to leave, so you're not going to get her, and I just don't think you're going to finish her in time, or her whole team is going to push forward, and you're stuck in the middle of the bridge with no obvious escape in a 6v2. So I'm kind of looking at this and going, you can be over here where you can wait, and then if your team starts to get farmed again, you can come up and peek, and yes, it's dangerous, but you've opened an opportunity for your team to cross the bridge in case they get farmed again, or you can, you know, have cover, etc., and just be ready for when your team is ready, and then you're in better position when they do actually go around it. I don't like this because I just don't think there's any real chance that you're getting the Zarya kill here, and maybe you're doing this to get Bob, but you've got 46 seconds. You don't need Bob yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Between you and Genji, you got her a little closer than I thought, but
I need healing. Thanks.
and that was nice.
Thank you.
30 seconds.
Yeah, nothing wrong in general with throwing TNT at Hanzo, especially when he's behind cover like that. I don't want to create that impression.
I need healing.
And then when I peeked in that room, I thought the Hanzo was going to be at that top right location, but when I saw he wasn't, then I turned back around to the fight. So, but then I got hit with the fire strike after that, so I kind of panicked a little bit.
Yeah, but your Ana was sort of right here, so that sort of becomes you panic a little bit, which becomes a little unfortunate that you open this back up quite so quick because you've got your Moira and your Ana right here, and I don't know what her resource situation is, but I'd guess that she can. Why do I not get her resource situation? That's really weird. Okay. she must be out of resource because surely she'd have already flashed a heal on you if she wasn't. But like even just waiting the moment before reopening this angle, it's still
Yeah.
17 seconds left. We don't need to activate the cart yet, and you know you're peaking when you're down health, and you weren't this low when you peaked, but you were at like 117 when you peaked, and you had your support right there with you that you could have just been like, okay, I'll wait literally a second to get a heal.
Okay.
You getting me riled up.
And I really don't think there's anything for. I mean, I'm happy to go through it again, but I don't think there's anything on third because there's 2 fights, and this first fight you're just late to because of how the respawns worked. In the second fight, there's the Zarya who was hidden, and
Yeah.
you could have potentially played it more aggressively, but I don't think there was a reason to play it more aggressively unless you were specifically hearing on comms where's Zarya, and you're thinking to yourself, wait, they have Graph, in which case, okay, maybe you do need to circle behind them, etc. So I think that's good. We do still have some time in this session, so I'm happy to either take a peek at another VOD, or we can go over more general stuff, or if you have questions, anything like that.
Let me see if I have a short VOD.
Sure.
I have a couple. So like, it's funny because after this VOD, I actually went on like a I went like 6-2 in the next 8 games.
Sure.
And I think so. I think for me, like when my aim is on point, I feel more confident and more aggressive, and I'll try to go for plays. And in this particular VOD we just watched, I wasn't feeling on my game, so I think that's why I wanted to pick that one, because when my aim's not there, I want to think of what else can I do to like contribute team fights.
So it really does come down to, I mean, with Ashe it comes down to a couple things. Can you get ult value when you had one bad ult but the rest were okay? Should have had another ult on third defense that would have gotten there, but that's a wash. Can you get good TNT value? And then it becomes, can I use my teammates? Literally, it's the rest of my teammates are something that I can use where I want to peek from different places than them, and I want to peek after they've peeked, especially if your aim isn't feeling on point, because you can't just outmuscle them. So it really becomes, okay, I know my Widow is like, my Widow just created a bullet stream. They're going to look towards the source of the bullet stream. Or my Rhine just rounded the corner onto them with his Zarya bubble. I know they're going to be paying attention to my Reinhardt. Like that sort of becomes it. You'll settle back down into good aim. I mean, with most people, it settle back down. Maybe you amp up into good aim. Maybe you feel hot and you keep running on it, etc. But you'll start hitting some shots because they're easier, and then because you've hit some easy shots, you'll start hitting more shots because you're comfortable with your aim again.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. I sent a
perfect
replay code. I do not remember this game, so
that's fine. You probably sent me something. We spawn camped them for 3 minutes, but hey.
It's it's definitely a loss. So, and I think in wins, I tend to like I said, I rely on my aim a lot to carry, at least for like my plays. But in the losses where I feel like there's something I could have done differently, that's what I like to kind of look over.
Close that, yeah. Your reloads are pretty expensive. I actually would shoot at that Sigma Shield. I can see you kind of went to some effort to avoid shooting at that Sigma Shield. Not like serious effort, but Sigma Shield is actually really valuable to him. You'll learn if you spend any time playing Sigma, so putting pressure on that really becomes a, oh, I don't like this at all type thing. And even with Ashe, where your reloads are pretty expensive time-wise, it's probably worth taking. Obviously, take any other targets that's there first, but you did a fair amount of I'm waving around looking for another target there.
Gotcha. Okay.
The objective is now.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you realized how easy that was, felt, etc. Because when you were back here, it was like, oh, hey, this is kind of hard. I'm doing what I can, etc. And you were a little delayed getting into the real fight. But that, I won't say that worked to your benefit, but it meant when you did get into the real fight, like everyone was distracted by your tracer and your ball that were going around. It was like, oh, look at these easy shots that aren't even paying attention to me, except for the
Yeah.
ball. The ball was the only thing you had to deal with. So if your aim isn't feeling on point, you just go a little more into a, okay, let someone else open stuff up for me, and I'll play off of them.
Okay. See, I think I just get a little overconfident at times, or I watch a lot of pros on Twitch, and I just see them like just click heads, and I'm like, okay, I can do that, and then it doesn't happen, and
There's
I
a
get into
lot.
trouble. So.
There's a lot that goes into that clicking heads where they've set themselves up for success. But yes,
Yeah.
they also have better aim, and their baseline, their minimum performance is still at a higher level than yours, so they can do a little more of a.
Let me get you patched up. Here it comes. I get the attitude.
So let's pretend we don't know that tracer's there.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you thinking you go if you get into any trouble? Like, this ball could come back. Turns out the tracer could come through here. These guys are a little suppressed by the fact that your Zarya is between you and them. But my thought is really that was your hotkey last map. My thought is really sort of if this team pushes on you, where are you rotating to?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this sort of becomes you got here, and I get well you got here, but you should always have some idea of, you don't have your coach gun to get out, so what actually is your cover? And your cover might be the pillar, I can live with that, but it's going to be a problem when this tracer shows up.
And I think what I was thinking in this moment was sit there in the open, see if I can like get a pick or two, and then when I get coach gun, go high ground. But the tracer dove me, and that kind of spooked me a little bit.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. They like it when they find targets nice in the open like that. You don't have a corner to go behind? I get to use my whole clip? Don't mind if I do.
Somebody get me some healing.
Yeah, okay, good X. And then this is as much to stall points as it is to. That's unfortunate, but that's fine.
Yeah, and I really thought like that we were gonna take this.
Well, this isn't a take. You have control, so it's not.
Oh,
end of the. You thought we were going to clean up the team fight. You mean?
Right,
yeah?
right.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind using Bob for a little bit of point stall when you have control and you're still sort of in the fight. You were, maybe a little behind in this fight, but this fight was close enough that this was reasonable. It would have just been can you get out an instant faster after using that Bob? And the answer was mostly no. But now this is a reset. And is there any chance you're getting out of here alive?
No. Not a chance.
Right. There's a ball on point, and you see that there's a ball on point. He will chase you down every time.
Oh, he's already coming for me. Yeah,
exactly. So I was saying you should have just, could have just jumped off yourself and been like, nope, we're resetting now.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, as soon as I peeked that corner, I was like, wait, they have a ball, and then sure enough, he was already on it.
Let me get them off.
Nice.
I'm feeling unstoppable. I've got you in my sights.
This is not your time.
You're going to.
Yep. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I'm mostly going to put that as a bit of a shame category, but yeah,
I think I just have to be more. Well, I mean, I didn't. There's no way that I would have thought that the hog was going to be there, but
right.
I think if
Go ahead.
I personally feel like if I didn't die there, we probably would have been able to retake. But
I think that's true. There is a way you could have known the hog was here. Like you do see
yeah.
on your screen that hog is looping around that corner, and now you back off, so you can't see him through the wall like we can in the replay there. But you know, this is sort of like the basics of okay. The soldier, of course, is going to shoot from here. I don't mean to be like, of course, but to some level, of course, the hog is going to try to take an off angle. He's either going to go here or he's going to go back here and try to hook you because that's what roadhogs do. And you're sort of in a that's the only way you lose. So it's not a big deal because honestly, you're probably pretty close to breaking this hook. But yeah, if you live here, you do win this fight. I actually would have said Mercy does cap you off. That's good. You peek it like that. Oh no, the Ana was not the solution. The easy shot on the soldier that was there was probably the solution, but yeah, then you just don't see him. Unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just. I think that was just me losing focus really on the hog, and just like he moves out of my screen, so I forget about him for a second.
Hey, we're all 3-year-olds. Object permanence is hard.
Damage increase.
Let me handle it.
My ultimate Valkyrie is ready. Heroes never die.
Okay, so this becomes one of those things where they're distracted, so this is going to be easy, right?
The objective's mine.
Do something.
You 100% force this, so we're going to go back.
Yeah. Yep. This is like kind of this kind of stuff that I wanted to go over.
Yeah.
Heroes never die.
Okay, so if we look at this, you're Ashe. You're a 200 HP hero with relatively limited mobility, no invulnerability cooldowns like a Wraith or an Ice Block or anything like this. Point is not your job. If you want to put Ashe on point, I can live with that, but point is not your job. Your job right here is to go, hey, I bet I can eliminate that Ana, or maybe I can force my ult off of this hog, or something along those lines. You already have your ult, but your job here is 100% to go, I have an easy shot on the Ana. If the hog turns around, I can close this. He can't whole hog me to death. None of these guys are really threats to me. In fact, the hog can't hook me because he's whole hogging right now. So your shots right now are on this Ana. You're in a we need to win the team fight. We don't need to cap the point type scenario. Like that's 100% where you should be right now. You'll cap the point. It's not at 99. You'll cap it after you win the team fight. And to win the team fight, I mean, I think you're probably going, I'm going to go for the more aggressive TNT because I want the Mercy, and I understand that, but the more passive TNT to land like here would have been fine, and then you shoot the Ana, and if the Mercy wants to stay like this, that's fine. You can out DPS the Mercy's heal beam, especially with your TNT ticking on the Ana. And it's not as good as getting, the Mercy a limb, but it's still plenty. You're like, this is not positioning. And this is like, okay.
This is hero mode here.
Exactly.
I just think I can get 2 picks and clutch it out. It didn't work out
right,
that way.
But even if you went to someone who has a particularly good Ashe and you looked at one of the pros, I can pretty much guarantee you that they'd have walked out here and they'd have just double tapped the Ana rather than go, I'm gonna yes, if it was, maybe there's a world where some of them crouch walk over to here and from here they double tap the Mercy. But they're not gonna go, let me run up here and TNT. Like if you're truly going hero mode, you just double tap them, you don't TNT. But anyway, we're getting off track here. You've
Gotcha.
got the message.
Yeah.
They are getting on my nerves.
And then I think at this point I just am like, we're not gonna win this, so
Yeah. And that's probably true, but this could be, aimbot Calvo, discount aimbot Calvin's moment to kill 5, and then you could be throwing.
That's fair.
Okay. Okay, so that puts us at the night's end point here. We're at the thing, and we just finished a point on a map, so I think that's what we're gonna do. So yeah,
Okay.
you do have some. I can hero mode it. I can do this stuff where you go like to the point or to the front line. If things don't feel good, or if your aim is feeling off, or really just general good tactics, sometimes you're going to be the first person to open a sight line, and that works great, and you're just cruising, etc. But let your team be credible distractions and take the easy shots that are there. Shoot the Anna in the back of the head rather than trying to go deep for the Mercy. And then same thing when we're going back to Rialto there, where it's okay, let your Reinhardt engage, and once your Reinhardt is engaged, then peek from the high ground. I promise the Hanzo won't be looking at you most of the time because he's worried about his tanks losing, so he wants to contribute there, etc. And all that good stuff.
Okay.
And don't shoot deflecting Genjis 3 times, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Um,
Any
sorry, go
other
ahead.
general questions? Go ahead.
No. I think it was great. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I'm very critical of myself. So, but I also understand that it's perspective, and sometimes I miss things. So I just kind of wanted to get a different perspective.
Oh,
And
for sure. It can be
definitely,
hard to see your own mistakes because you don't recognize them as mistakes because you have a certain world view on how Overwatch works. And I'm not saying
right.
that yours is drastically wrong, and I'm not saying that mine is perfect, though it's pretty damn close. But or it used to be. But it can help because you see things that'll just shatter your worldview. And I don't think we did anything that shattered your worldview here,
Yeah.
but there could be a thing where it's like, no, you're using Bob completely wrong and it just changes how you think about the ultimate. I don't think that's going to happen in this case, but those are the kinds of things that you'll run into that you need another perspective to see. So anyway, glad that you got some value out of this. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and call this one